Hello there, this is all to do with the croquembouche today, and what I'm going to show you is pretty much 7 stages of making a croquembouche. Croquembouche is generally used at French weddings, and it's a highly prized piece of pastry. It's generally filled with a creme patissiere, but the creme patissiere can be flavoured in all sorts. You can flavour with chocolate, orange, liqueurs, anything you like really, and it's generally dipped and finished off with caramel. But today what I'm going to do is actually dip it in chocolate, simply because we English love chocolate, and the simple fact is it's a damn sight easier to make than the caramelised one. But in a future edition I'll probably do the caramelised one as well, so you can see that. But today we're going to do croquembouche. It's going to have 7 stages. It's going to be decorated with proper chocolate, not the baker's chocolate, not the stuff that you really dislike, but it's the real nice, sharp, shiny, crunchy chocolate. It's going to be filled with an orange and chocolate creme patissiere, and it's going to be decorated with chocolate roses, but modelling roses, and all the way down. And at the end of that, hopefully we'll have a chocolate croquembouche. Okay, so that's the chocolate modelling paste on the go. What we're going to do next is a creme patissiere. We need to do that well in advance so it can cool down, because we need to cool it down before we actually start piping into the profiteroles. Creme patissiere, pastry cream, is a simple thing to do. Take your recipe, take your milk, I've put a little bit of vanilla essence into that, and bring it to the boil. If you want to use a vanilla pod, even better, and let that infuse.
How much vanilla would you say? Something like that?
Well, I will put 1 vanilla pod into that.
Okay.
Open it up, scrape it off,
yeah.
Pop it in, bring it to the boil, leave it to one side, let it infuse. But I've put about a capful of vanilla essence in.
Okay.
That's it really. Bring that to the boil, and while that's boiling, or while you're waiting for it to boil, weigh the flour off. So I've got some nice ordinary plain flour in there. I've got my eggs, and I've got the sugar, and I need a whisk. I'm going to crack the egg yolks into the sugar, mix those off, put the flour into that mixture, mix that off, bring that to the boil, pour it into that mixture there, slowly so it doesn't burn the egg, so it doesn't separate out. Then pour the mixture back into the pan and continue to mix it on a lower heat till it starts to boil and starts to firm up. Once it's firmed up, remove it, put it in a clean bowl. Either put a cartouche on the top, which is a piece of paper that's got slightly butter on it, or you can put a little bit of sugar. But if you don't do that, they actually get a skin on top of the custard, and quite literally you've got to throw that bit of skin away. Okay, so the milk's on the boil. I'm just going to zest off fresh orange, just to give it that nice flavour. I said before, you can use anything you like on this one. You can use liqueurs, you can use lemons, you can use any fruit you want to give it some sort of flavour. Once I've got this zested, and that's come to the boil, I'll simply pop the zest into it. The orange juice I can drink later on. I've got my eggs and my sugar in here. I'll just mix those together. Just whisk them up a little bit so they're nicely aerated. Okay, so take the eggs and the sugar, mix them together, nice and light. Take the flour, sieve the flour, always sieve the flour because it's got bits in it. You want it a little bit aerated, but you want it lump free is the most important bit. Sieve that into there, and then just stir that in. Just going to put the orange zest into the milk just to help infuse it. Just letting the milk cool down ever so slightly. Okay, so we've got that nicely mixed together. And then just put a little bit of milk in first of all, don't put a lot in. Okay, just stir that in gradually, otherwise you end up with it up the walls. And if you put it in too quick, you'll actually burn the egg. And the egg goes into little tiny lumps like scrambled egg, really hard scrambled egg.
And that's not good.
Yeah. Not on the palate anyway. So that's mixed in. Take a handful of chocolate now, that's cooled down sufficiently. Doesn't matter how much chocolate, just enough chocolate to get it flavoured really. And just stir that chocolate in so it melts. But if you put the chocolate in when it's boiling, the whole chocolate will go like a powder.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And then put a little bit more in and stir that round until it's completely, you've got all the flour and the sugar and the eggs mixed into the milk, and then finally put the rest of it in. As long as your pan's not too burnt, and sometimes obviously milk does, but if it's not too burnt you can actually put it back to thicken it in the same pan. If the pan's burnt itself, then don't put it back in the same pan, simply because you'll get a burnt flavour from it. And then be very careful, pour it back in, try and keep it in the pan, it helps. I'm just going to put that back on the heat again. You've got to keep stirring this all the time, and you've got to keep it off the bottom. If you allow it to just settle too much on the bottom, it'll simply catch and burn. Depends on how good your cooker is to how quick this happens, because I can feel it already starting to catch on the bottom. And we're just going to cook this out now until the flour, well, the whole mixture starts to boil. Once it's boiled, it basically means I've cooked out the
is that as soon as it boils, or?
Pretty much, yeah. Once you've got a good boil on it, remove it. If you leave it on too long, again it will simply burn, and then you'll have a horrible flavour to it. But keep it off the bottom, keep it moving all the time. It does take a while, does this, so you've just got to persevere with it and keep mixing it and keep whisking it, otherwise it'll just go into great big lumps. If you don't keep taking it off the bottom, then again it will burn. You can see it's starting to get a little bit thicker now, but I need to see it boiling before I can take it off. The orange flavour's slightly coming through. I think I could have put a little bit more in, but I'm quite happy with that.
I can smell that.
And once a rolling bubble starts, then your flour's cooked out. And I can take it off. Okay, once it starts to look like a pool in Rotorua, then it's time to come off. Because cooking it even longer will just give you a problem with it.
So you see it just bubbling now, okay?
Yeah, just starting to bubble through like a volcano. And that's it. So that will come off now into there. You can see at the bottom where it's starting to catch there, that's why you've got to keep it moving. Especially if you're doing just an ordinary vanilla custard, because it will then get dark bits in it, which is not very good. Putting chocolate actually hides it a wee bit. And then take some butter, any butter, salted butter, unsalted, and just tap down the top. Let the butter melt onto the top.
Alright.
And that will stop the top from drying out and having to skim it all off and then throw it all away.
That's useful.
When you spend time on it, you don't really want to be throwing it away, do you?
No.
So that's the pastry cream done.